So I'm headed to the Dolly Sods today. I'm returning for an overnight hike, but this one's gonna be a solo hike. But today's video is about the gear that I'm taking to the Dolly Sods. And I wanted to lay it out for you, see what you think, compare what you would take on a backpacking trip, specifically to the Dolly Sods. If you know anything about the Dolly Sods, it's very wet. And you know, what would you take? And out of this gear here, tell us down in the comments, what would you leave? Now I'm gonna show you the camera gear, but it's basically just for interest. This doesn't count as far as the gear loadout because most people aren't gonna be taking this kind of gear. But the first thing I'm taking is this DJI Mavic Mini, and you can see how big it is. It fits right in the palm of my hand. It's perfect for backpacking trips because it weighs almost nothing. In fact, it weighs so little that you don't even need to file it on the FAA website. You don't have to register it. And so the controller, the little handles are on the back, and the Mavic Mini. And here are SD cards in case I need extra storage. Now I'm doing a video about the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. And so I'm taking it because one, it's perfect for this kind of filming, right? You know, it has the tripod on it. It takes great quality images or video basically. I'm not gonna use it for any photos. We have 2 GoPro batteries. And here's my main rig for videoing. I've got a Rode mic, and then the GoPro, I think it's the 11, and a tripod handle that telescopes like that. Of the gear that matters, the first thing we're gonna start with, well, sunglasses, but I always take a printout of the map, and I'm using All Trails. And on one side, I have a zoomed in section of where I plan to be, and I'm coming up here and I'm gonna camp in this area, and then I'll continue on the trail the next day. It's a 2-night, 3-day trip, but one of these nights is gonna be tonight, and I'm gonna be in the iCamper rather than on the trail tonight. I just wanna get to the trailhead, which is here in West Virginia, and there's a zoomed out shot of the trail. And I like to have this, I laminate this because I can just put it in my bag, not worry about it. Now let's go to the shelter, and the shelter is the Hammock Manus UL Ultralight All-in-One. And so this is the hammock, it's the bug screen, and the Rainfly all-in-one. And so I love this thing. It's like I said, it's my hammock of choice. Not a whole lot more to say about it. I have a setup video on that that you can go check out. Here is a Hammock Ridgeline organizer. So this goes inside the bug net, and it just goes from one point of the hammock to the other and allows you to store some stuff. And here is just extra cordage, and yeah, that fasteners of miscellaneous just in case you might need them. In here is my Z-Packs tarp, and this is a standalone tarp, and it also has the paracord to go with it. Now I'm taking this. This is one item I'm questionable about. I really don't need this. This is more of a backup thing in case it's raining. It's not even supposed to rain, but the Dolly Sods is so wet, it's just hard to tell. So that's one piece I think I could leave out, but it's so light. As long as I have the space, and I'm not having space issues, I think it would be stupid to leave it out. This is my Riki Tiki pillow, and I'm taking this one because it's a little bit smaller and it fits inside of the hammock. I'll show you more about that in the video. But it's a little more maintenance because when you take it out, it's just a little harder to get back in. But I think it will be perfect for a hammock. I've never tried it in a hammock. It's just smaller than my Seat of the Summit, which is usually what I take. It's just a little big. Now, I am taking a underquilt, and I'm taking my previous hammock setup, which is Hummingbird hammocks. Underquilt, I'm not the biggest fan of it, to be honest with you, but it's the only one I have that is actually made to go under a hammock. And here is my Z-Packs. I think it's a 5-degree sleeping bag, and this is, I believe it's synthetic Z-Packs. And Z-Packs is the theme of this trip because that's exactly which bag I'm using. The Arc Blast, I believe it's called. And I love this bag. It weighs almost nothing. I have a drink holder up here. I have a pocket on the side, and the netting pocket, which is where I put the stuff that like my map and stuff that I'm going to use a little more commonly. Now on the front is my chest rig, And this is a separate bag that attaches right here. And I've installed that. Now it clips so that you can take it on and off. But I'm going to carry things that I may need urgently. And I can't really talk about the description of my protection, my safety, but you can kind of see the shape fits exactly what kind of safety I'm going to have out in the bear country in the spring of the Dolly Sods. So I need to be careful, and I figured if I was going to take bear spray, I might as well take it up a level where I'm pretty confident I'm not going to have any issues with either people or bears. Drink holder on the front for my water bottle. I always take a couple extra carabiners, and that's about it. I do have a waistband, and I'll probably put some camera stuff and battery stuff in there. The reason I like this one is because all of the weight of it goes directly on the hips, and it allows me to kind of separate things just a little bit from there to here, or what's inside the outside of the pack, and give me a little more organization. This one I was on the fence with, guys. This is my favorite camp chair. It is the Helinox Chair Zero, and it weighs, it's like just under a pound or right at a pound. It takes up space, and so that, is more load. It's not heavy, but it does take up space, so I could cut this, I'm not sure. My Z-Packs, again, Z-Packs is the theme of the trip. My telescoping hiking poles, definitely need these because the trail I'm doing, which is the lower loop, is fairly rocky. Headlamp, and I like this one because it has the red light. You have to have one with the red light, but it holds a charge for a really long time. Not the most comfortable with this band, but again, it holds charge for a really long time. It's reliable. I always take a small little terry cloth, and here is my Garmin InReach Mini. This is my GPS tracking device because your cell phone doesn't have any cell signal for the most part, most of the time when you're backpacking, and need another way to communicate with the outside world if necessary. I do have the plan so I can send text messages on my phone through the Garmin, but you got to pay per text and all that, so you don't send them unless you need them. And this is, because it's spring, it is the beginning, getting ready to be the beginning of May. Definitely need a head net. Last time I was at the Sods was last spring, and there were places where the bugs were, I can't even begin to describe how bad they were. But as soon as you build a fire, they go right away, and you're allowed to have fires at the Dolly Sods, which is why I'm bringing my handsaw. Definitely something I could do without, but due to my experience at the Sods last year, I know that there's going to be a lot of wood, but it's going to be picked through. And a lot of times the wood that is available really needs to have some processing done. And this is a very lightweight saw that is safe and easy to quick to deploy. You can get some stuff cut out really fast. Look at the teeth on that thing. And could be the difference between me having a good fire and no fire. All right, moving along, I have a tank top. A lightweight tank top. I have a Columbia hooded long sleeve shirt. This is not necessarily a sun shirt. It definitely has a warmth factor, and that's because the weather is mid to high 70s during the day and low to mid 50s in the evening. Now, low to mid 50s that can be kind of chilly. If there's any kind of dampness in the air, that could be it can definitely change the way that feels. So I'm taking a little bit of both. I got a short sleeve for the hiking during the day and a long sleeve with a hood for night. Extra pair of ankle socks, but they are hiking thickness to make sure that I don't get blisters. And then for nighttime, I have my Smart Wool long johns or, thermal pants, whatever you want to call them. Got a 2.5 gallon Ziploc for trash, as well as anything I want to, contain the odor of. I don't want high odor items like some of this stuff I'm going to show you to be out in the open. So put those in here to kind of conceal the smell from any bears or wildlife. These are my my camp shoes, and they're called Fitniks, and they basically are like a tough sock. They do have a pad on the bottom, allows me to get around camp and get out of my hiking boots. They weigh almost nothing, and they're just a camp luxury. Could do without these, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Coffee, sweetener, drink hydration packs to add a little flavor to my water. I have 300 calorie of the crunchy peanut butter Cliff Bars, and then the regular chocolate chip Cliff Bars. I have trail mix, which is probably a lot, but that's for the whole time, and that's my food choices. So the creamy mac and cheese is the emergency or supplemental meal. 3-bean chili mac will be the dinner on the trail, and this will be Thursday's breakfast on the trail. I'm going from, I'm leaving today, which is Wednesday, but the hike is going to be Thursday morning to Friday afternoon. This blueberry walnut oats, which is delicious. It's got some quinoa, some blueberries, walnuts, and even some hemp. That is a snack. What I find is I usually don't eat as much as I take. So I try to scale down on that. In fact, I just did take these two guys out of what I was planning on taking. And I don't think I'll regret it. These are delicious, but it's just not worth it. Now, and that's my kettle. That's what I'm cooking with. That's what I'm heating my water with. And there's a Jetboil burner that screws on to my Jet Power canister, which is just barely open. Must-have items, I'm taking some off, got to. And Sods is known for having areas of relentless sun if you don't have any protection. Now, I do have a hat. This is another item, guys. I'm very, very, very... I think I'm going to just take this in the Jeep, spray myself heavily before I actually go on the trail, and I think I'll be good. I have a hat that covers my face. I got sun protection. This is definitely some weight I don't need. I mean, you can see it's 6 ounces and it's full, so I think that's the direction I'm leaning. Taking my titanium spoon or spork, and I learned a long time ago, just take, this does it all. So that's all you need, and it's, you can maintain it easily. It does exactly what you want. It's long enough so that when you're dipping it into the bag, you don't get your hand all messy. Water filtration, probably the most important thing. And so I got the Sawyer water filters, their standard size one. And then I have a squeeze bag by CNOC, or CNOC. And basically, let me show you. You dump the water in here, or you fill it up in a creek or whatever. You put the filter down here on the bottom, and then you squeeze it through, or you can hang it in a tree and let gravity do its thing. Love this bag and love this setup because, well, the bag lasts a lot longer than the cheap bags that come with that guy. Now, I do have the pieces to flush it just in case, because I'm only taking this, the method of sterilizing my water. I'm not taking anything else. I am going to take my hydration pack full, and I'm also going to take 2 Smart Water 1 liter bottles. And that's it. That is the stuff that I am contemplating taking. I'm leaving here in about an hour, so I'm down to the last minute trying to figure out exactly which items I feel comfortable with leaving behind. Tell me what you think. Oh, I forgot. Patagonia down jacket. This additional layer of warmth, like I said, 50 can get, it can feel pretty chilly. I've never complained. It's so light, it weighs almost nothing. This is more of just a space issue, and I've never complained about taking this jacket. I've always appreciated the fact that I took it. And so that's the gear let out. Let me know, what item would you leave behind? You see no purpose in? Kind of tell me your thinking, your rationale behind it. A little bit about the trip. It is a 13-mile trip. My first backpacking trip of the year. So, that's to take into consideration. I haven't been on the trail. I'm not as fit as I should be right now, and this is going to help get me there. 17 and a half, we got 1,700 feet of elevation to climb, and most of that is all in the first day. So the first day is going to be tough. The second day is going to be all downhill. It's going to be a little more mileage, but all downhill. very little chance of rain, if any at all. Friday, which is the day I should be hiking out and then coming home, there is definitely a chance of showers in the afternoon, but I think that I'll beat it. And if not, my biggest concern would be my gear getting wet. And the Z-Packs backpack is it's pretty water resistant, not completely waterproof, but definitely water resistant. If you haven't already commented down below telling us which items that you would leave behind, go ahead and do so now. But I'm about to show you which items I left behind, as well as tell you what I regretted taking and or not taking. Now, I did take the Z-Packs quilt, but I didn't realize it was the quilt when I packed it. The problem with a quilt is it doesn't zip, and so it's like half on most of the time. It's made more kind of to lay over you. It does have like a mummy foot section, but I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but I pretty much, I don't know that I'll ever be using this again. It keeps you warm and it's ultra lightweight, but I like to have that zipper, so that way I can make sure my bag's not falling off during the night. Z-Packs chair, I didn't take it. I chose not to take it, and it was a little more than a pound that I gained. However, I think one of the things I missed the most when I was out there was this guy. I was sitting on rocks, and it had a lot to do with the campsite that I chose, but there wasn't a whole lot of places to sit. There's, no stumps or anything near the fireplace. So I wish I had taken this and I could have just clipped it to the outside of my bag so space wouldn't have been an issue, because this is probably the thing I missed the most. I took way too many nuts. I might have eaten a third of them, and it happens every time. I take more food than I actually eat or even come close to eating. And you got to be careful with that balance about, what if and, having emergency this and emergency that. You got to be practical about it. And that was not a practical amount of nuts. I didn't take my Z-Packs tarp. The rain forecast was next to nothing. And on the night that I was on the trail, thunderstorms. And that's the thing about the Dolly Sods. It wasn't forecasted. It was a 10% chance of rain that night. It started thunderstorming from about 9 and went on to at least 1 in the morning. And I was fine. I didn't get wet because the tarp, my hammock tarp, worked. Everything was fine. However, I kept thinking and waiting for something to hit me as I'm laying in the hammock, and just waiting to find that my hammock's tarp had failed. It didn't. However, I think a fairly close second, I wish I'd taken it just in case, make me feel a lot better type of item here is that Z-Packs tarp, and I think I would have packed it before. It weighs almost nothing, and I would have probably, again, strapped it to the outside of the bag. This is definitely the item I think I appreciated the most, and it is almost always that way. Your hiking boots feel comfortable when you're trying them on here, but once you put 7 miles on them, they're not comfortable anymore, even the best ones. And so it's nice to be able to have a nice, something easy on your foot to change into. Really appreciated having my Fit Gigs. Other notes I took was I didn't use the SD card case at all. However, if you need, it's one of those things, when you need it, and if you don't, good. I would take it again. I would have taken the DJI Pocket again, even if I wasn't doing a video on it, because I like to have 2 camera sources in case one breaks. I've had problems where I only have one, and for some reason or another, it didn't work. Another point of note here is the saw. It's one of the best items that I took. It's because a lot of the wood that I used was dead. It was on the trees or dead limbs, and if you saw them off and then processed them, you had quite a bit of firewood. But if you hadn't had a saw, those limbs were in places, kind of just above everyone else's reach, where you wouldn't have been able to get to them, or they would have been thick enough that you wouldn't have been able to snap them off without harming the tree. And so really glad that I took that saw. I took too much fuel, and I always battle with this. I don't need that much fuel in a canister. I just need just enough to get by the several times that I want to cook and, or make coffee, boil water. And I used it
4 or 5 times or so, but it's so fuel efficient. I just took way too much fuel. Another item that I'm really glad that I took was my Patagonia down jacket. Again, I've never regretted taking that jacket. And again, I was really glad to have that jacket in the middle of the night when it was cold and then the next morning. And so my weights, guys, it all comes down to this. Total pack weight minus food and water, 11 pounds, 4.5 ounces. Total food and water, and a lot of you guys are gonna be shocked by this, 11 pounds, 5.7 ounces. I was shocked by that. That's a lot of weight, and a lot of it is those nuts, and I had some extra meals that I didn't eat. One extra meal, 2 extra meals. I didn't eat the chili mac. I ended up having the mac and cheese for dinner, and then I didn't eat breakfast the next morning. I had protein bars. Speaking of protein bars, I did have 2 protein bars left over, so that was a little bit of weight, but definitely, again, packed a little too much food. I was very happy that I took those flavor packets. They mean everything when you're out in the backcountry. Just that little pop of flavor, it goes a long ways. Total camera gear, 4 pounds and 9 ounces. I think that's pretty good. Not really, the SD card case and the extra SDs is something I'm gonna look at trying to condense and maybe just taking 1 or 2 in a smaller case. Extra clothing was 1 pound and 6 ounces. I appreciate every ounce of that, trust me. So the big number, the total overall weight, not including my protection that was in my chest rig, but everything else. So in other words, everything except the clothes that were on my back, all the extra clothes, all the food, everything that I just went over, total overall weight, what do you guys think? I'll tell you this much, I didn't look at the total weight before I left because I wanted to see what my reaction would be. I did get the total pack weight, which is without food and water, and I knew about what my camera gear was, but the total weight came in and I thought it would be higher than this because it felt heavier than this, to be honest with you. And I think that's because, like I said, first hike of the year, I had to condition myself a little bit. Total overall weight, 28 pounds and 4 ounces. I'm happy with that. I really am. So, originally my goal was 35 and then it bumped down to 32 and then 30. And now I'm down to 28 pounds and 4 ounces. So I'm getting better, and that's what it's all about. It's just upgrading your gear little by little and making sure you're taking things that you need and things that warrant their weight. My next goal is 25 pounds. I'm going to aim for that goal on the next trip. Now, that's trip depending. What kind of trip is it? Every trip is a little bit different, but a trip very similar to this, 25 pounds. I can't wait to read some of the things that you guys are commenting on and what you would leave behind, because like I said, it's really great to hear other people's opinions. It helps you kind of evaluate your processes and opinions. So make sure you share that down below. I really appreciate you watching the video and I can't wait to see you on the next one.